I am harvesting beans on this nice, warm, sunny day in February. This is a part of my composting area. I got a long video series on the compost I made in 2019. And this is going to be the final harvest. At least the final harvest that I'm going to be eating, consuming. These are a bean that I remember I bought like an 8 or 5 or quite a few varieties of beans from a company that was touting them as being rare. And I remember these as being African beans. I never cataloged anything. I just planted them, and all of them died out except for this one. I'll show you some of them up close here. That's what they look like right there. And I've been eating them by fermenting. I've been fermenting them for 3 days. But I did a batch and I ate this morning that I fermented for 5 days. And it seemed to be the same result. What I'm doing is I'm actually peeling the skin off the bean after they fermented, and then I eat the meat. I boil it twice, and then I've been frying them in olive oil, simply because I like the flavor of the olive oil. Yeah, there is something about this bean that is funny that should be mentioned. And when I ferment them, some of the beans won't swell up. The skin is so tough, so hard, that it's just not accepting any water. And I'd say it's about maybe 10% of them. I think that's a pretty good characteristic. And I'm going to continue to propagate these things. The prolific is all get out. I had one plant that grew over 200 beans. Not bean pods, but beans. That's a lot for one plant. And since they're that tough like that, I think that's a positive trait. Because I'm not even harvesting them in the fall when normally people harvest. I'm just leaving them sit out here. I actually made that discovery on accident where I forgot to pick one, or I actually missed it. And in the spring, as I was rooting around out here getting ready for the summer season, I found it, and there was, I don't know, a dozen pods hanging on it. It was growing in the shade, so it wasn't high harvest. So I just right away. I just planted the beans right on the spot, and they grew wonderfully. And I did it again. I did it another winter and left them all winter. Yeah, I think this is the 3rd winter now. Could be the 4th. Jeez. You can probably find it somewhere back in my videos from my past. How many years I've been doing it. Ooh, there's a gooseberry in here. Gooseberries have thorns and I just got poked. So this bean is also growing next to gooseberries. And nothing seems to eat them. And I've been eating them and then I haven't had any problems with them. So they can't be poisoned. Of course I'm fermenting them and then cooking them. I don't think you can eat them raw. There's chemicals in them that you got to break down or reduce. It looks like we're going to almost fill this little container I brought out here. Ouch! Okay, looks like I got all of these now. Oh, there's a couple that laid down on here. Oh, there's one on the ground too. Let's get it. This plant actually, this is how this plant got propagated to begin with, where a couple of beans fell on the ground from another planting that was here, and they grew up all by themselves. I actually transplanted a couple of them out here because I put a bed in here that was elevated, And this plant came from beans that I didn't find, that didn't sprout right away, and it grew up through at least a foot of compost in that bed before it came and emerged and grew up the fence here. So maybe I'll save the largest beans of the largest pods, and I'll label that as late emergent. We'll see if it happens again. There is one other plant in here yet that's got beans on it. It's right over there. I actually planted 20 or 25 beans along that stick fence. You can see the pods there. That plant right there is the only plant that survived the slugs. I'm not gonna harvest that at all, and in the spring I'm gonna take those beans and I'm gonna plant it along the stick fence again and see if more of them will survive the slugs. Of course, we could have a dry spring and not have as many slugs as we had this last growing season. And over 40 inches of rain here, which is, I don't know, a foot or more of a record from the previous year's record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a nice looking pod. I'm going to keep that one. Here's an 8. 1, 2, oh, that might be a, that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But they're pretty small. Ooh, they got some nice mottled marks on them. Look at that. I can pick those out of there later too. I can go through this whole thing for variations. Abnormally large bean or maybe colors like that. 5, 6, 7. That's a nice looking pod too. Boy, they break open real easy too. A nice looking pod. Ooh, that one's got 8. I got another one with 8, but they're small. Oh, they're really small. Forget it. They're prolific. They grow in shady conditions. This spot here probably it got sunlight. Well, when they got finally to the top of the fence, they got sunlight all the time. But as they were growing, they only got sunlight along this fence here, growing up the fence from probably 1 o'clock until 5, 6 o'clock. Then it's shaded again. So these beans made it up in not very ideal conditions. Okay, some beans dropped to the ground as I popped them out of their pod. Goes out of here. So here are the beans. That'll be a supplement to, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 breakfasts. And I'm going to go through these and take the largest ones out, save those for planting, and I'm going to label them again. Late emergent beans. So there you have it, right there. That's a picture right there. And then I have all those beans yet.